Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching our video. I am Starling Brader with Linda Berry. We're going to be talking about the pattern of Saturn and Saturn turning direct. So this is the cycle. Before we get started, I want to say hi, Linda. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good. And you,
Good. I'm doing great too. Thanks for asking. So we'll also be including something that isn't vibrational astrology, because what we're going to do is look at the harmonic energies during the times of Saturn that we talk about. And we're looking at the harmonic charts and the midpoints and what's going on in those. And we're also going to be talking about the end of the video, the Sabian symbols that is not actually part of vibrational astrology, but the other stuff that we talk about is, we'll let you know when we get to that part too. So Linda, do you want to go ahead and share your screen so we can get started?
Okay. Saturn turning direct. Here's the whole Saturn cycle for this year. It starts on February 14th, 2021, and it goes until January 14th, 2022. And in that time, for that whole time period, Saturn is sitting between 6 of Aquarius 53 and 13 of Aquarius 31. So basically what happens is that Saturn comes around and it comes around here. And at this point, right here, it starts to move into the period where, and the retrograde segment, Saturn, as I said, goes from, you see here, it goes to 13 of Aquarius. That's where it turns retrograde. It comes back, and at 6 of Aquarius, it turns direct. So what we're basically looking at here is a cycle of Saturn that reflects this retrograde process. Now, in the middle of that, on August 2nd, Saturn opposes the sun. That's already happened. So now, today, we're going to talk about when Saturn turns direct. Now, just to look at this for a minute, you can see the sun squares Saturn before the retrograde happens. And then we go back through here and we go through the whole retrograde cycle, and then the sun squares Saturn again. So this is how the year for Saturn, this cycle of Saturn occurs. Okay, Saturn turning direct. The evaluation is what is essential in building long-term patterns. Saturn starts looking more at external patterns and behaviors. It's moving out of the internal focus of the retrograde phase of the Saturn cycle. You will notice here that for the period, the Saturn cycle is between May and October. It's a little bit less than half of the entire time period that Saturn is moving between 6 of Aquarius and 13 of Aquarius. Any thoughts you have on Saturn turning direct, Starling?
Yeah, well, the only thing I would add is how Saturn really does make us cut away to what is essential. You did write that in this slide, and I think that's the important thing to take from this. So when it's going through this retrograde cycle, in a sense, we may find, and it may affect you more than someone else. You know, we're collectively speaking right now, but it may affect someone more than someone else if you have planets that are interacting with Saturn as it's going through this cycle. So that's something to look at with your own chart, and know that if you're not, maybe the next person is. And these Saturn things kind of help us let go of what isn't important to us so that we can embrace what is. A lot of people have a negative thought pattern about Saturn, but I know we don't look at it like that in vibrational astrology, and I definitely don't feel that it is that way either. I think that you can look at anything from good or bad, and that's important to also think about too.
Particularly in the natal chart, Saturn is not a negative force. Now, what happens in transits is the area Saturn goes over is an area that gets forced to reevaluate itself. It's not an area that normally you're spending your whole life with Saturn on.
Right.
Okay. Instead, this is an area that's not used to Saturn energy. And all of a sudden it's getting it. And Saturn goes in there and it may feel uncomfortable because Saturn is going to evaluate what you're doing in that area and say, oh, this is really important. Let's keep it. No, this is not important. Get rid of it. So
right.
Saturn can result in things moving out of your life that you thought were really important. And typically in the long run, perhaps well after the cycle is over, you will come to understand how those things are not serving your long-term development and are not helping you to build and express the kind of patterns you need to express in your life. So
yeah.
Saturn will test things to see if they have long-term potential. Things that do not have long-term potential, maybe things that are shaky anyway, relationships that are shaky, or what, or anything else. They may not last past the Saturn pattern. It's Saturn does house cleaning, and sometimes it's great and it feels wonderful, and sometimes not so wonderful. But in the long run, you see what's going on. Okay, so here is Saturn Stationary Direct, October 11th, 2021. And we are recording this now because it's about to go into its degree that it turns direct in. You'll see in a little while, Saturn, most of the outer planets stay in 1 degree for a long time. That means that degree is really strongly being impacted. For Saturn in the natal chart, this is the 6th degree of Aquarius, as you can see it here. And so we have Sun, Mercury, Mars here. The station is about turning from inward focus to outward focus. Sun, Mercury, Mars here, putting your thoughts and ideas into action. All right, that's the conjunction. Then we have Venus, Mars, Sun with a sesquiquadrate. Venus, Mars, Sun, tuning into the natural world and operating in direct connection with the natural world. And the third part of the direct pattern is Sun, Neptune square with Saturn at the middle of it. I mean, Moon, Neptune square with Saturn at the middle of it. And that is about basically feeling emotionally passionate, I would say, about this natural attunement and putting your ideas into action, learning the things you need to do to operate with a natural attunement to the world.
Yeah. Well, I think you said sesquiquadrate, but it's actually
oh, thank you. A square and a semi-square.
Yes, a square and a semi-square. That's okay. I agree with what you said, and letting go of things maybe from the past, because we do have the moon in there. The moon brings things from the past back into the present. So letting go of them, they might be dreams or ideas. And, sometimes it's letting go of something so we can spark something back up too. So wherever you're at in this, it's like we have to make room for ourselves. Linda and I are always talking about how we're busy this and that, and we're fitting things in to make life happen, but sometimes you have to let go of something to make something else work. So yeah, kind of keeping that in the back of your mind is important.
Okay, now here are the one midpoint that's really tight and the isotraps for the natal chart. So here we have this just reemphasizes the importance of that passion. This here, you have the moon, Neptune with Saturn, as Starlene was talking about. That's about figuring out. One way I would put this is to say the dreams that you bring over from the past, which ones are really essential?
Yes, great way to put it.
Yeah. And see here, we've got Jupiter, a passion for going big. And if you look at this here, that's the Pluto with the Saturn here, which are lined up with Jupiter. So this is indicating that there's some big actions coming as Saturn goes direct. And they're related to natural processes in some way, which is really, I think, interesting. Let's go on here. Now, this is Frequency Finder, and this shows you the 3 vibrations out of the first 32 that are really strong for when Saturn turns stationary direct. And that's 21, 19, and 30. And we're going to take a quick look at each of those and try to pull out some highlights. Okay, so here's 21, which was the strongest. And you can see here that you've got a lot of stuff happening around Moon Venus, and you've got a lot of stuff happening around Sun Uranus. Well, the Moon Venus is about the beauty of the things from the past that come into the present. It's kind of values traditions and is rather devoted to caring for them and caring for people and things like that. Now, the Sun Uranus is about operating in the moment spontaneously, and that's big. So there's some kind of big optimistic pattern of operation here. This is a square, Jupiter to Sun Uranus. This is the 21st vibration. So we need to think about the 21st vibration for a minute. This is all operating in the 21st vibration. And the 21st vibration is internal. It's about a flow within you internally, a flow of 7 energy, which is energy that has to do with internal patterning, figuring out how things work within you and how you relate to the world, forming your own inner world, working in a symbolic way. And there's a real flow of energy that seeks to, with 21, you have a sense of seeking to get to the simple essentials, a special focus on the essentials of this pattern. So when we look at this Moon, Venus, Neptune, this is, and Saturn and Sun, Uranus, the Moon, Venus, this is about inside of us tending to hold on to the past. It's almost like there's, and this is about seeking to try to move and express big spontaneous things. It's almost like this is a trine. These are trying to work together, and yet they're very different principles. So it gives almost a sense of the energies inside having trouble all working together.
And would you say, because this is a 21st vibe, that there is some feeling of discipline in it, or like at least with the Saturn trining to the Moon and Venus, there would be a bit of discipline there? I know with the Sun, Uranus, Jupiter, there's not a lot of discipline going on there. Maybe it's a disruption of it.
It's not, it's going to make it internal. It's like wanting to be spontaneous, but in a focused and disciplined way. So it's a methodical kind of spontaneity. Figure out what needs to be done, how it works well, and then put spontaneity into your expression of it.
Right.
It's
Okay, that makes
one of
sense.
the ways to talk about this in relation to this Saturn family is Uranus in 7 is like practicing being spontaneous.
That makes sense.
Which is kind of a contradiction in terms, but it wants to be spontaneous, but yet it's got all these structures. It feels like it has to follow in the process.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Okay. So we've got two isotraps here. None of the midpoints are really strong, but the 21 itself, smooth flowing internal pattern formulation focused on the true essentials. That's how I came up. That's what I was trying to remember a minute ago. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, this red isotrap is about step-by-step growth in your dreams. The green isotrap is about sudden, emotionally based, intense action. These are, and again, this is in 21. So this is internal flows of energy that are developing your dream step by step. There's this internal focused, disciplined energy, but it gets sudden bursts of intense action.
Right. Not sustainable bursts of energy. It's more sudden bursts with the Uranus and Mars in there, right?
Yeah. And the thing in 21, this is like a trine in 7. This is a smooth flow of energy that is working to just in a real easy, almost classical formulation, working to develop and structure things and figure out these patterns and figure out what's really important to include in the patterns and how to make your dreams grow. And then you have these bursts of energy that are maybe connected to the insights you get and things like that.
They're kind of opposite energies when you think of it, but putting it together like that, it makes sense where to put your energy. Mm-hmm.
So now, then we have 19. And 19 is about internal evaluation to figure out the strengths and weaknesses of things. We have a focus here on this Saturn moon quincunx, because this is transits. This is not the way we do this in natal charts. But it represents needing to make adjustments in your emotional energy to let go of things that are not essential, to let go of emotional feelings that your emotional reactions you're having, but there's really not, they're really not about really important things.
Right.
There's passion here. Passion for evaluation, for figuring out what will work effectively, and then getting together with others and make it happen. That's 19 vibration. Then we've got Pluto at Moon, Mercury, 11 minutes. This is powerful. You can see it back here. Here's Pluto, Moon, and Mercury right here. This is the T-square. And the Pluto is what is really focused in that T-square. The Moon Mercury opposition there has to do with the emotions versus the mental thought patterns and the awareness of basically more analytical concepts. And so this is showing a passion. This is 19 for how to combine the feelings and the mental processes, and figuring out the strengths and this is 19, figuring out the strengths and the weaknesses of each of them, and figuring out how to combine the strengths together into something really exciting. And that's a lot stronger than the isotraps. So we're going to just look at that here. Now, vibration 30, a flow of creative interaction with others. And here we have a Mercury Neptune focus. And so that's going to be a focus on the dreams you formulated in your mind, the ideals, the concepts. And again, we've got the awareness of balancing the emotions and the mental patterns. This is dreams that you've been carrying every day. Here again, we have a T-square with the sun in the middle of it. Mercury, Neptune to sun to moon, with the sun here square both of them. We also have Mars trine sextile, and that says action, acting on your dreams. And so this is about balancing out your emotional feelings and your mental concepts and your dreams that you formulated about how things could be, and making that happen in the present, taking action to bring those dreams to life.
And since this is the 30 vibe, is there a playfulness to this? Because this is in the 5 family.
It's lighter. It's
lighter,
more exploratory, more interactive, and very creative. This indicates the potential for coming up with a different solution than anybody thought of, for being able to formulate a really creative solution that will work to bring the dreams to life.
So it's a good thing to put your mind on something you've been maybe thinking about for a long time, but haven't executed it.
Yeah. This is a time when you can squeeze it out. And the Sabian Symbols show that too. Wait till you see.
Awesome.
Okay. Now here we've got, this is the one that's really important. Saturn at Sun Uranus, because it's 1 minute. This says, okay, and this is 30. So this is interacting with others, working harmoniously with others in a creative way, with some lightness, some ease in it, but coming up with your own way, your own pattern of looking at things that's not the way everybody said it should be, not following other people's patterns. And this is in this creative, interactive 30 vibration process. So, okay, so now, all right, the Sabian Symbols. But before we do that, I just want to give you just a general overview here. We are looking at Saturn turning direct at 6 of Aquarius 53. But Saturn goes into that, it's sitting in that 6th degree in that Sabian symbol for a long time, almost a month. It goes in 9/28, it leaves on 10/22. Now, remember in the Sabian Symbols, we look at the natal chart, we look at the vibration 13, and we look at vibration 169. The vibration 13 to give some idea of what the soul pattern is underneath the behavior, and vibration 169 to give a sense of the spirit, the way the spirit's trying to come in or what it's trying to teach us. And this whole thing is not, the ideas right now with the Sabian Symbols are not vibrational astrology, and they're looking at the particular degrees that are focused in these 3 vibrations and what the Sabian Symbols of them are. So the Sabian Symbols for Saturn when it turns direct, an analysis of patterns, a removal of trivial patterns, moving from an internal to an external focus because we're going from retrograde to direct. Remember, the Sabian Symbols are not vibrational astrology. Okay, the Sabian Symbol story. This is the natal chart, the pattern. Well, this is actually all 3 kind of in relationship to each other. So you are bringing to birth within yourself a new type of being that no longer is bound by the human dilemmas. This is an amazing degree of new birth of something so totally new and different and amazing. The sole intent here is to recognize you operate within a bounded, limited sphere of activity, interlinked with a particular group of people within a larger realm. And the spirit lesson is to open to in trust to the soft, loving transmission of an extremely significant hidden pattern that is in the process of forming within you. This whole thing gives a picture of a new type of awareness being formed within the person. I think it's just fascinating.
Yeah, it really is. So these are not the symbols themselves. This is
We're going to get to the symbols. Yeah.
Right, the three parts to it. And this is behavioral expression is 1, soul intent is vibration related to vibration 13, and then 169 is spirit lessons.
Right.
Okay, cool. That was a great explanation about it.
Okay, so this is the problems you can encounter in this process. Again, this is an overview, and then we'll look at the details. You can be afraid of new ideas, refuse to believe what's right in front of you, and stay stuck in stereotypes and prejudices. That's the number one problem that can come up. You can get so focused on your immediate little sphere that you put the needs of your little group above the needs of the world around you. And the third lesson is to just close down and say, no, I'm not going to grow. To refuse to accept these newly forming awarenesses and gifts because of your fear and blockages within you. So putting this all together, area by area, here's the behavioral expression, which is 6 of Aquarius 53, which we've been looking at when we were looking at the vibrational astrology and so on. This is the time period that the symbol is in effect. The symbol is a child born of an eggshell. Yeah, I know. This is one of the most unusual symbols in the whole set of Sabian symbols. You're bringing to birth within yourself a new type of being that's no longer bound by the human dilemmas, and or you're being afraid of new ideas, refusing to believe what is right in front of you, operating out of stereotypes and prejudicial thinking. Number 2, this is the last degree of Aries. The soul intent is 29 of Aries, 25, which is actually, Sabian symbols go from 1 to 30 instead. So 0 to 1 of Aries is 1, and 1 to 2 of Aries is 2, and 29 to 30 of Aries is 30. So the picture here at Saturn Station Direct in the soul intent is a duck pond with its brood. This is to recognize that you are operating within a bounded, limited sphere of activity, interlinked with a particular group of people within a larger, greater realm, so that you have your sphere and there's a greater realm. Now, this could be symbolized different ways. You could say you have your country and then there's the rest of the world. Or you could say you have the earth, and that's the limited sphere of activity that you're operating within, and then there's the rest of the universe. So this may be about recognizing, one way to see this is to be about recognizing that we have a limited earth sphere, and we need to take care of it. The third one is the spirit lesson to learn. All right, this is 23 of Aries down. Oh, this one, the soul intent was from October 3rd to October 18th. So it's really a very long time on the soul intent. A lot of times they're shorter than that, but that's the time period it was in that degree. Okay, then the spirit lesson, which is basically 23 of Aries, the time when Saturn is between 22 of Aries 0 and 23 of Aries. It actually goes only part way in and then turns back. It goes into 22 of Aries, goes 30 minutes, and then turns around and goes backwards. Because remember, this is when everything's turning direct. So we have a change of direction here. The spirit lesson, a woman in pastel colors carrying a heavy and valuable but veiled load, opening in trust to the soft living transmission of an extremely significant hidden pattern that is in the process of forming within you, or closing down and refusing to accept newly forming awarenesses and the gifts they may bring because of your fears and blockage. So these represent, all the Sabian symbols represent potential ways you can handle the energy, either the most effective way of embracing the growth and the spiritual development involved, or shutting down, stopping your flow, letting your fear and the blockages within you and the anger and the whatever interfere with your growth. So in this particular case, it points to the idea that we have something, in a sense, being born within us, some kind of thing that we have access to, or that's starting to form within us if we will just welcome it and be open to it. So
nice.
That's what we've got here, Starlene.
I love it. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of that with us, Linda. I really appreciate it. And I hope that everybody enjoyed watching.
Remember that when you look at the Sabian symbols, these are symbols, which means they are vague. They can have different meanings. They are hints. They are hints that if they resonate with you, if it doesn't make sense to you, you should just drop it. But if they resonate with you, then maybe they're bringing a message for you. And I'm sharing these for whatever message somebody might recognize and be able to use to maybe make a difference in their lives.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Linda, for sharing them. It's very, very helpful. All right. So everybody, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.